In the autumn of 1941, as German aircraft dominated European skies and Luftwaffe commanders reviewed their production capabilities with characteristic confidence, few could have imagined that across the Atlantic Ocean, a revolution was quietly taking shape in American factories. The German High Command, steeped in traditional military thinking and industrial practices, viewed the United States as a nation of inexperienced manufacturers whose entry into aircraft production would pose little threat to their established supremacy. Their intelligence reports consistently underestimated American industrial capacity, particularly dismissing the notion that women could effectively contribute to sophisticated military manufacturing. The German perception of American manufacturing capabilities was rooted in their own industrial experience, where aircraft production remained largely the domain of skilled male craftsmen working in established facilities across the Reich. German factories, while efficient and technologically advanced, operated under a system that had evolved over decades, relying heavily on traditional apprenticeship programs and established hierarchies that excluded women from technical roles. When German intelligence officers filed their reports about American industrial potential, they applied their own cultural and industrial frameworks, unable to comprehend the revolutionary changes that American necessity would soon demand. American aircraft production in 1939 stood at a modest 2,141 units, a figure that German analysts noted with satisfaction as they compared it to their own output of 8,295 aircraft that same year. The Luftwaffe's leadership, including Reich Marshal Hermann Göring, regularly received briefings that emphasized American industrial inexperience in military aviation, particularly highlighting the fact that American factories employed virtually no women in production roles. These assessments reinforced German confidence that their established industrial machine, built upon traditional methods and experienced male workers, would maintain its superiority throughout any prolonged conflict. The transformation that would soon sweep across American factories began not with grand pronouncements or government mandates, but with quiet conversations in corporate boardrooms and government offices throughout 1940 and early 1941. As President Franklin Roosevelt announced ambitious aircraft production goals, calling for 50,000 planes annually by May 1940, American industrialists faced a stark reality. Traditional manufacturing approaches would never meet these unprecedented demands. The pool of experienced male aircraft workers was limited, and with military conscription looming, factories would need to explore entirely new sources of labor. In aircraft plants across Southern California, managers began cautious experiments with female workers, initially limiting them to roles that seemed analogous to traditional women's work: fabric cutting, sewing aircraft covers, and basic electrical assembly. These early positions, while limited in scope, provided the first glimpse of women's potential in aircraft manufacturing. At companies like Vultee Aircraft, female workers in electrical assembly departments demonstrated not only competence, but often superior attention to detail compared to their male counterparts, setting the stage for more extensive integration. The Pearl Harbor attack on December 7, 1941, shattered any remaining hesitation about expanding women's roles in aircraft production. The 60 Pearl Harbor widows who applied for work at Lockheed and Vega aircraft companies with the motto, "Keep 'em flying to avenge our husbands' deaths," became symbols of a transformation that would reshape American manufacturing. Their aptitude test results, described by company officials as much better than average, challenged prevailing assumptions about women's technical capabilities and opened doors that had previously remained firmly closed. As 1942 began, American aircraft production was poised for an unprecedented expansion that would ultimately produce 295,159 aircraft by war's end. Yet this remarkable achievement would depend not merely on traditional industrial methods, but on the revolutionary integration of American women into roles that no major power had ever attempted. The Germans, monitoring American production through intelligence networks and diplomatic channels, continued to express skepticism about American manufacturing potential, particularly regarding the employment of women in technical positions. The transformation of American aircraft manufacturing accelerated dramatically throughout 1942, as traditional barriers between men's work and women's work began dissolving under the pressure of wartime necessity. At Consolidated Aircraft Corporation's San Diego facility, which had employed 4,000 workers in 1933, employment surged to 41,000 by 1943, with women comprising 40% of the workforce. This massive expansion represented more than simple growth. It embodied a fundamental reimagining of how complex aircraft could be manufactured using previously untapped human resources. The technological revolution that enabled this transformation centered on the adoption of assembly line production methods adapted from the automobile industry but refined for the complexities of aircraft manufacturing. Unlike the traditional job shop approach that had dominated pre-war aircraft production, where skilled craftsmen handled multiple operations on each plane, the new system broke down aircraft assembly into hundreds of discrete, learnable tasks. This segmentation proved crucial, as it allowed newly hired workers, including thousands of women with no previous industrial experience, to master specific operations within weeks rather than the years required for traditional aircraft craftsmanship. Aircraft companies invested heavily in mechanical aids that reduced the physical demands of aircraft assembly, installing counterweights for moving large aircraft sections, upgrading manual machines to electric or pneumatic operation, and providing platforms and mobile benches that accommodated workers of different heights and physical capabilities. These modifications, initially designed to accommodate female workers, ultimately improved productivity for all employees while dramatically expanding the potential workforce. At Consolidated, managers discovered that these technological improvements eliminated many of the perceived barriers that had previously excluded women from aircraft production. The creation of feeder plants in suburban areas proved particularly effective in attracting women workers who might otherwise have been unable to participate in aircraft production. Companies like Lockheed established satellite facilities in Santa Barbara, Bakersfield, and Fresno, while Consolidated Vultee opened feeder plants around San Bernardino, Santa Ana, and Los Angeles. These decentralized facilities allowed housewives and mothers to contribute to aircraft production without the burden of long commutes to urban industrial centers, effectively expanding the available workforce by millions of potential workers. The quality of work performed by women in these expanding facilities consistently surprised managers who had initially harbored doubts about female technical capabilities. At California Consolidated Aircraft, a foreman told the Saturday Evening Post, "Nothing gets by them unless it's right," referring to women's attention to detail in quality control processes. The United States Department of Labor documented that women typically drilled 1,000 holes per day in aircraft manufacturing, compared to 650 holes per day achieved by male workers, demonstrating not merely equality, but superiority in certain precision tasks. Training programs designed specifically for women workers evolved rapidly throughout 1942 and 1943. Moving beyond the makeshift on-the-job instruction that had initially characterized female employment in aircraft plants. Consolidated established comprehensive vocational training schools that provided women with opportunities in engineering and drafting, recognizing that secondary education had previously been unavailable to most women seeking technical careers. These programs produced graduates who could perform sophisticated technical work, challenging pre-war assumptions about women's intellectual capabilities in engineering fields. The expansion of women's roles extended far beyond basic assembly work, encompassing precision machining, quality inspection, welding, and even supervisory positions. Women operated drill presses, milling machines, and turret lathes, handling complex metalworking operations that had previously been considered exclusively male domains. Their success in these technical roles demonstrated that perceived gender limitations had been largely cultural rather than inherent, opening possibilities that would reshape American industry far beyond the wartime period. By late 1942, American aircraft production had reached 47,136 units, more than tripling the previous year's output, and far exceeding German production of 15,596 aircraft. This remarkable achievement reflected not merely increased factory capacity, but the successful integration of a workforce that included hundreds of thousands of women performing tasks that had never before been attempted by female workers. The German intelligence services, still operating under traditional assumptions about industrial organization, struggled to comprehend how American production could expand so rapidly while maintaining quality standards. The year 1943 marked the culmination of American aircraft manufacturing transformation, as production soared to 85,898 aircraft, representing more than a threefold increase over German output of 25,127 planes. This extraordinary achievement reflected the full maturation of manufacturing systems that had successfully integrated 486,073 women into aircraft production roles, comprising 36.6% of the entire industry workforce. The scale of this transformation extended far beyond simple employment statistics, representing a fundamental reimagining of industrial capability that German planners had never anticipated. The geographic concentration of women aircraft workers in Southern California created an unprecedented center of manufacturing excellence, with approximately 150,000 female workers employed in aircraft production throughout the region by fall 1943. Major airframe plants achieved remarkable gender integration ratios, with facilities like Douglas at Long Beach employing 16,299 women, Douglas at Santa Monica utilizing 13,526 female workers, and Lockheed at Burbank incorporating 13,537 women into their production workforce. These numbers represented not merely statistical achievements, but the successful operation of manufacturing systems that had revolutionized traditional approaches to complex industrial production. The sophistication of work performed by women in these facilities challenged every pre-war assumption about gender capabilities in technical manufacturing. Women excelled particularly in precision assembly operations, where their manual dexterity and attention to detail proved superior to traditional approaches. In electric and radio assembly departments, female workers handled complex operations, including wire cutting, soldering, terminal attachment, and component assembly using sophisticated bench tools. Their work on precision instruments, such as altimeters, tachometers, and radio equipment, required not only manual skill but the ability to read blueprints and interpret technical specifications. The evolution of women's roles extended into previously unimaginable areas of aircraft manufacturing, including the assembly of fuselage sections on moving conveyor systems. Female workers installed power lines, electrical systems, rudder pedals, and control components while working from platforms that allowed access to aircraft tops and mobile benches that permitted installation work beneath fuselage sections. This integration of women into core aircraft assembly represented a complete departure from traditional manufacturing approaches, demonstrating that complex military equipment could be produced using workforce compositions that no other nation had attempted. Quality control and inspection roles became particular areas of female excellence, as aircraft complexity demanded unprecedented attention to detail and precision measurement. Women operated sophisticated testing equipment, including micrometers, calipers, and gauges, conducting magnaflux testing for internal casting defects and performing Brinell hardness measurements on metal components. Their patience and methodical approach to repetitive inspection tasks proved superior to male workers, who often became bored with repetitive operations and grew careless over time. These quality improvements contributed directly to aircraft reliability and combat effectiveness. The training infrastructure supporting female aircraft workers had evolved into a comprehensive system that challenged traditional educational limitations imposed on women. National defense training schools, sponsored by federal programs, offered advanced technical courses that provided women with skills in electrical work, mechanical operations, and precision manufacturing. Private vocational schools throughout Southern California expanded their offerings, though quality varied significantly among institutions. The most successful programs recognized that women's lack of previous technical experience could be an advantage as female students approached instruction with fewer preconceptions and greater willingness to follow precise procedures. Wage equity in aircraft manufacturing represented another revolutionary aspect of wartime production changes, as most aircraft companies abandoned traditional gender-based pay differentials. 20 of 23 major aircraft manufacturers surveyed by the Women's Bureau paid identical starting wages to male and female workers, with 9 major California companies offering 60 cents per hour to all new employees regardless of gender. This approach reflected both wartime labor shortages and recognition that women's productivity matched or exceeded male performance in many technical roles, establishing precedents that would influence post-war employment practices. The technological innovations driven by women's integration into aircraft manufacturing created lasting improvements in production efficiency and worker safety. Mechanical aids, improved tool design and ergonomic workplace modifications developed to accommodate female workers ultimately benefited all employees while increasing overall productivity. These innovations demonstrated that inclusive design approaches could simultaneously expand workforce participation and enhance manufacturing effectiveness, challenging assumptions that workplace accommodation required productivity compromises. By year's end, American aircraft production had achieved levels that German intelligence analysts found difficult to credit, particularly given the extensive employment of women in technical roles. The contrast with German manufacturing approaches, which continued to rely primarily on traditional male craftsmen working in established facilities, highlighted fundamental differences in industrial philosophy and adaptive capacity that would prove decisive in determining ultimate production outcomes. The year 1944 witnessed American aircraft production reach its absolute zenith, with 96,318 units manufactured across all categories, representing the culmination of the most successful industrial mobilization in human history. This staggering output dwarfed German production of 39,807 aircraft, despite Germany's desperate attempts to increase manufacturing through extended working hours and the employment of forced labor. The American achievement reflected not merely quantitative superiority, but the successful operation of manufacturing systems that had transformed millions of previously excluded women into skilled technical workers capable of producing the world's most sophisticated military aircraft. The breadth of aircraft types produced by American factories in 1944 demonstrated the versatility and sophistication of manufacturing systems that extensively employed female workers. Production included 1,147 very heavy bombers, 15,057 heavy bombers, 6,732 medium bombers, and 38,848 fighters, representing the full spectrum of military aviation requirements. Each category demanded different manufacturing techniques, precision standards, and technical expertise. Yet American facilities successfully produced all types while maintaining quality standards that ensured combat effectiveness. The complexity of this achievement becomes even more remarkable when considering that much of this production relied on workers who had entered aircraft manufacturing only 2 or 3 years earlier. The geographic distribution of aircraft manufacturing had expanded far beyond the original Southern California concentration, creating a nationwide network of facilities that employed women in technical roles previously unimaginable. The Ford Motor Company's Willow Run facility in Michigan epitomized this expansion, employing thousands of women in the production of B-24 Liberator bombers on assembly lines that represented the ultimate evolution of mass production techniques applied to complex military aircraft. Similar facilities operated across the industrial heartland, from Boeing plants in Seattle to Douglas facilities in Oklahoma, each successfully integrating female workers into sophisticated manufacturing processes. The Willow Run operation particularly demonstrated the potential of manufacturing systems designed around principles of inclusive workforce participation. Women worked throughout the facility, performing operations ranging from precision riveting of bomber sections to final quality inspection of completed aircraft. The facility's success in producing one B-24 bomber every hour at peak capacity reflected not merely mechanical efficiency, but the successful coordination of thousands of workers, many of them women, performing complex interdependent tasks that required precise timing and flawless execution. This achievement challenged every traditional assumption about the requirements for sophisticated military manufacturing. Technical innovation continued throughout 1944, driven partly by the need to optimize manufacturing processes for diverse workforce capabilities. Spot welding improvements made welding operations lighter and more accessible to female workers, while enhanced riveting equipment allowed precise work with minimal physical effort. These innovations improved productivity for all workers, while expanding the range of operations that could be performed by employees regardless of physical characteristics. The cumulative effect of these improvements contributed significantly to the remarkable production increases achieved throughout the year. The quality achievements of aircraft produced by facilities extensively employing women provided compelling evidence of manufacturing effectiveness. Combat reports from theaters worldwide consistently praised the reliability and performance of American aircraft, with mechanical failure rates significantly lower than those experienced with aircraft produced by traditional manufacturing methods. These quality improvements reflected the attention to detail and methodical work approaches that female workers brought to aircraft manufacturing, demonstrating that inclusive workforce policies enhanced rather than compromised product excellence. Labor management innovations designed to support female workers created workplace environments that benefited all employees while maintaining high productivity standards. Women's counseling services, designed initially to address female workers' specific needs, evolved into comprehensive employee support systems that improved morale and reduced turnover across entire facilities. Flexible scheduling arrangements, improved workplace safety measures, and enhanced training programs created work environments that attracted and retained high-quality employees regardless of gender, contributing to sustained high productivity throughout the demanding wartime period. The economic impact of women's integration into aircraft manufacturing extended far beyond direct production contributions, creating ripple effects throughout American society and economy. Women's earnings from aircraft work provided families with unprecedented economic security, while demonstrating female economic potential that would influence post-war social developments. The technical skills acquired by women in aircraft plants created a reservoir of trained technical workers that would contribute to post-war industrial development, challenging traditional limitations on women's career opportunities and economic participation. By December 1944, American aircraft production capacity had reached levels that rendered German production comparisons almost meaningless. The integration of women into technical manufacturing roles had proven not merely successful, but transformational, demonstrating industrial possibilities that no other nation had attempted. This achievement represented far more than wartime necessity. It embodied a fundamental expansion of human potential that would influence industrial development and social organization for generations to come. As 1945 began, American aircraft production had established such overwhelming superiority that German industrial planners abandoned hope of matching Allied output through conventional manufacturing approaches. Even as Germany produced 7,540 aircraft in 1945 before surrender, American facilities continued operating at unprecedented capacity, ultimately producing 49,761 aircraft during the abbreviated production year. This final production surge reflected the complete maturation of manufacturing systems that had successfully transformed American women from excluded observers into essential participants in the most sophisticated industrial enterprise in human history. The statistical magnitude of American aircraft production throughout the war period defied every pre-war prediction and challenged fundamental assumptions about industrial capability. Total wartime production reached 295,959 aircraft, including 200,443 combat aircraft specifically designed for military operations. This output represented more than the combined aircraft production of all other nations, achieved through manufacturing systems that employed women in technical roles that no other country had attempted. The success of this approach demonstrated that traditional limitations on workforce participation had artificially constrained industrial potential rather than protecting manufacturing standards. The technological sophistication of aircraft, produced by American facilities extensively employing female workers, provided decisive advantages in combat effectiveness that contributed directly to Allied victory. American fighters and bombers consistently outperformed German counterparts in reliability, precision, and operational capability, reflecting the attention to detail and quality control that female workers brought to manufacturing processes. Combat pilots regularly reported that American aircraft required less maintenance, experienced fewer mechanical failures, and performed more consistently than equipment produced through traditional manufacturing methods, demonstrating the practical advantages of inclusive production approaches. The global reach of American aircraft production enabled simultaneous operations across multiple theaters while maintaining equipment quality and availability that German forces could never match. American industry provided almost two-thirds of all Allied military equipment produced during the war, including 297,000 aircraft that equipped not only American forces, but also British, Soviet, and other Allied air forces worldwide. This remarkable achievement reflected manufacturing flexibility and capacity that could only have been accomplished through the revolutionary workforce integration that brought women into previously restricted technical roles. The rapid evolution of production techniques throughout the war period demonstrated the innovative potential unleashed by inclusive workforce policies. Assembly line methods, precision tooling, quality control systems, and worker training programs all evolved in response to the need to optimize manufacturing processes for diverse employee capabilities. These innovations enhanced productivity and quality while reducing physical demands and safety risks, creating manufacturing environments that welcomed rather than excluded potential workers. The cumulative effect of these improvements established American manufacturing superiority that extended far beyond wartime requirements. The personal stories of women who participated in aircraft manufacturing revealed the transformational impact of technical work opportunities that had previously been unavailable. Women discovered capabilities they had never known they possessed, developed technical skills that challenged social assumptions about gender limitations, and earned wages that provided unprecedented economic independence. These individual transformations contributed to broader social changes that would reshape American society throughout the post-war period, demonstrating that inclusive policies created benefits extending far beyond immediate production requirements. The training and educational infrastructure developed to support female aircraft workers established precedents for technical education that would influence post-war educational policy. Vocational training programs, on-the-job instruction methods, and apprenticeship opportunities developed for women created models for inclusive technical education that challenged traditional limitations on women's educational opportunities. These programs demonstrated that technical competence could be acquired through proper instruction regardless of previous educational background, opening possibilities for educational expansion that would benefit American society for generations. The workplace innovations developed to accommodate female workers established new standards for industrial working conditions that benefited all employees. Improved lighting, ventilation, safety equipment, and ergonomic design principles developed to support women's participation in manufacturing created work environments that enhanced productivity and worker satisfaction across entire facilities. These improvements demonstrated that inclusive design approaches created better working conditions for everyone, while simultaneously expanding workforce participation and manufacturing capability. Economic analysis of wartime aircraft production revealed that the integration of women into technical manufacturing roles had generated productivity improvements that exceeded all pre-war projections. Cost per aircraft declined, even as complexity and quality increased, reflecting the efficiency gains achieved through inclusive workforce policies and innovative manufacturing techniques. These economic benefits demonstrated that diversity in workforce participation enhanced rather than compromised industrial effectiveness, establishing principles that would influence post-war industrial development. The international recognition of American aircraft manufacturing achievements highlighted the revolutionary nature of production systems that had successfully integrated women into technical roles. Military leaders from Allied nations consistently praised the quality and reliability of American aircraft, often specifically noting the superior attention to detail and precision manufacturing that characterized American production. These international assessments validated the effectiveness of inclusive manufacturing approaches, while demonstrating American industrial leadership that would influence global manufacturing practices throughout the post-war period. The German military and industrial leadership's inability to comprehend the scale and effectiveness of American aircraft production reflected fundamental limitations in their understanding of industrial potential and workforce utilization. Throughout 1943 and 1944, as American production soared beyond 85,000 and then 96,000 aircraft annually, German intelligence reports continued to express skepticism about American manufacturing claims, particularly regarding the extensive employment of women in technical production roles. This persistent disbelief reflected not merely intelligence failures, but deeply ingrained assumptions about industrial organization that prevented German planners from recognizing the revolutionary nature of American manufacturing transformation. The contrast between German and American approaches to aircraft manufacturing became increasingly stark as the war progressed, with German facilities continuing to rely primarily on traditional craftsman-based production methods, even as Allied bombing reduced their industrial capacity. German aircraft production peaked at 39,807 units in 1944, representing their maximum possible output using conventional manufacturing approaches with primarily male workforces. This production level, while significant, remained less than half of American output achieved during the same period, demonstrating the superior efficiency of manufacturing systems that had successfully integrated women into technical roles previously considered impossible for female workers. The technological gap between American and German aircraft reflected not merely design differences, but fundamental disparities in manufacturing capability and quality control systems. American aircraft consistently demonstrated superior reliability, precision manufacturing, and operational effectiveness compared to German counterparts, advantages that stemmed directly from the attention to detail and methodical work approaches that female workers brought to manufacturing processes. German pilots and maintenance personnel increasingly reported mechanical failures and quality problems with their aircraft, reflecting the limitations of production systems that could not match American manufacturing standards. The strategic implications of American production superiority became increasingly apparent as German forces faced overwhelming numerical disadvantages in aircraft availability across all theaters of operation. By 1944, American facilities were producing more than twice as many aircraft as Germany, while simultaneously supplying Allied forces worldwide, creating insurmountable challenges for German military planning. The Luftwaffe's inability to maintain adequate aircraft strength reflected not merely combat losses, but fundamental production inadequacies that stemmed from their failure to develop inclusive manufacturing approaches comparable to American innovations. German attempts to increase aircraft production through extended working hours, forced labor utilization, and facility expansion proved insufficient to match American output levels achieved through workforce integration and manufacturing innovation. Despite desperate measures including the employment of concentration camp prisoners and foreign workers, German production remained constrained by traditional manufacturing approaches that limited workforce participation and prevented the kind of revolutionary production increases that American industry had achieved. These limitations demonstrated the superior effectiveness of voluntary workforce integration compared to coercive labor policies. The psychological impact of American production superiority on German military morale reflected the devastating realization that their industrial base could never match Allied manufacturing capacity. German pilots increasingly reported feelings of hopelessness as they faced overwhelming numbers of high-quality American aircraft supported by inexhaustible replacement capacity. This demoralization contributed directly to declining German military effectiveness, as personnel recognized the futility of competing against American industrial might that seemed to produce unlimited quantities of superior equipment. Intelligence reports reaching German leadership throughout 1944 and 1945 consistently underestimated American production capabilities, particularly regarding the technical competence of female workers in aircraft manufacturing. German analysts operating within cultural frameworks that excluded women from technical roles found it impossible to credit reports of American women performing sophisticated manufacturing operations, including precision machining, quality inspection, and complex assembly work. This comprehension failure contributed to strategic miscalculations that assumed American production would eventually plateau at levels achievable through traditional manufacturing methods. The economic sustainability of American aircraft production demonstrated advantages of inclusive workforce policies that German planners never recognized. American facilities maintained high productivity levels throughout the war while improving quality standards and reducing unit costs, achievements that reflected the efficiency gains realized through diverse workforce participation. German production, constrained by limited workforce availability and traditional manufacturing approaches, experienced declining efficiency and increasing costs as the war progressed, demonstrating the economic disadvantages of exclusive workforce policies. The post-war analysis of aircraft production statistics revealed the full magnitude of American manufacturing achievements that German leadership had never comprehended. Total American production of 295,059 aircraft represented more than double the combined output of Germany and Japan, achieved through manufacturing systems that had revolutionized workforce participation while maintaining superior quality standards. This achievement demonstrated that American innovations in inclusive manufacturing had created industrial capabilities that exceeded the combined potential of traditional manufacturing approaches employed by Axis powers. The enduring legacy of American aircraft production during World War II established principles of inclusive workforce participation that would influence global manufacturing practices throughout the post-war period. The successful integration of women into technical manufacturing roles demonstrated that traditional limitations on workforce participation had artificially constrained industrial potential, opening possibilities for economic development that would reshape societies worldwide. German failure to recognize these possibilities reflected not merely wartime tactical errors, but fundamental misunderstanding of human potential that limited their industrial achievements and contributed to ultimate strategic defeat. The final months of World War II witnessed American aircraft production transitioning from wartime emergency manufacturing to establishing new peacetime standards for industrial capability and workforce inclusion. As production levels declined from wartime peaks towards sustainable post-war operations, the achievements of American women in aircraft manufacturing had permanently altered perceptions of industrial potential and human capability. The 486,073 women who had successfully performed technical roles in aircraft production had demonstrated that traditional limitations on workforce participation reflected social conventions rather than inherent capabilities, establishing precedents that would influence industrial development for generations. The statistical record of wartime aircraft production provided irrefutable evidence of manufacturing achievements that had exceeded every pre-war projection and challenged fundamental assumptions about industrial organization. American production of 295,959 aircraft during the war period represented not merely quantitative superiority, but qualitative transformation of manufacturing processes that had successfully integrated previously excluded populations into sophisticated technical work. This achievement contrasted sharply with German production of 119,371 aircraft produced through traditional methods that had failed to tap the full potential of their available workforce, demonstrating the practical advantages of inclusive approaches to industrial organization. The technological innovations developed to support female participation in aircraft manufacturing created lasting improvements in industrial processes that extended far beyond wartime requirements. Assembly line refinements, precision tooling, ergonomic workplace design, and comprehensive training programs developed to optimize manufacturing for diverse workforce capabilities established new standards for industrial efficiency and worker satisfaction. These innovations demonstrated that inclusive design approaches created better working conditions and enhanced productivity for all employees while simultaneously expanding participation opportunities for previously excluded populations. The economic impact of women's integration into aircraft manufacturing extended throughout American society, creating new models for female economic participation that challenged traditional limitations on women's career opportunities. The technical skills acquired by women in aircraft plants, combined with demonstrated competence in sophisticated manufacturing operations, established credentials that would influence post-war employment patterns and educational opportunities. The wages earned by women in aircraft work provided families with unprecedented economic security, while demonstrating female economic potential that would reshape social expectations and family structures throughout the post-war period. The quality achievements of aircraft produced by facilities extensively employing women provided compelling validation of manufacturing effectiveness that had exceeded traditional production standards. Combat reports from all theaters consistently praised the reliability and performance of American aircraft, with mechanical failure rates significantly lower than those experienced with equipment produced through conventional manufacturing methods. These quality improvements reflected the attention to detail and methodical work approaches that female workers brought to manufacturing processes, demonstrating that inclusive workforce policies enhanced rather than compromised product excellence. The training and educational infrastructure developed to support female aircraft workers established new models for technical education that challenged traditional limitations on women's educational opportunities. Vocational training programs, apprenticeship opportunities, and on-the-job instruction methods created comprehensive educational systems that demonstrated technical competence could be acquired through proper instruction regardless of previous educational background or social assumptions about gender capabilities. These educational innovations established precedents that would influence American educational policy and create opportunities for expanded participation in technical careers. The international recognition of American aircraft manufacturing achievements highlighted the revolutionary nature of production systems that had successfully challenged conventional approaches to industrial organization. Military leaders from allied nations consistently noted the superior quality and reliability of American aircraft, often specifically acknowledging the precision manufacturing and attention to detail that characterized American production. These international assessments validated the effectiveness of inclusive manufacturing approaches while establishing American industrial leadership that would influence global manufacturing practices throughout the post-war period. The workplace innovations developed to accommodate female workers created new standards for industrial working conditions that established models for humane and efficient manufacturing environments. Improved lighting, ventilation, safety equipment, and ergonomic design principles developed to support women's participation in manufacturing created work environments that enhanced productivity and worker satisfaction while reducing injury rates and improving overall working conditions. These improvements demonstrated that inclusive design approaches created better workplaces for everyone while simultaneously expanding workforce participation and manufacturing capability. The social transformation achieved through women's successful participation in aircraft manufacturing challenged fundamental assumptions about gender roles and capabilities that had limited social and economic development throughout American history. Women's demonstrated competence in technical manufacturing operations, combined with their economic contributions and professional achievements, established new precedents for female participation in American society. These changes would influence social development, family structures, and educational opportunities throughout the post-war period, creating foundations for expanded equality and opportunity that would reshape American society for generations. The enduring legacy of American aircraft production during World War II established principles of inclusive workforce participation and manufacturing excellence that would influence industrial development worldwide. The successful integration of women into technical manufacturing roles demonstrated that traditional limitations on workforce participation had artificially constrained industrial potential, opening possibilities for economic and social development that would benefit societies throughout the world. The German failure to recognize these possibilities had contributed not merely to wartime defeat, but to missing fundamental opportunities for social and economic advancement that inclusive approaches to human development could provide. When the final production tallies were calculated at war's end, the numbers told a story that German industrial planners had never imagined possible. American women working alongside their male colleagues had helped produce 295,959 aircraft during World War II, including 200,143 combat aircraft that provided the backbone of Allied victory. This production dwarfed the German Luftwaffe's total wartime output of 190,371 aircraft, demonstrating that inclusive manufacturing approaches could achieve results that traditional industrial methods could never match. The 486,073 women who worked in American aircraft plants during the war represented more than a statistical achievement. They embodied a revolution in human potential that challenged every assumption about industrial capability and social organization. Their success in roles ranging from precision machining to quality inspection, from complex assembly work to technical supervision, proved that capabilities traditionally attributed to gender were actually functions of opportunity and training rather than inherent limitations. The contrast between American and German approaches to aircraft manufacturing revealed fundamental differences in understanding human potential and industrial organization. While German facilities continued relying on traditional craftsman-based production methods with primarily male workforces, American innovation created manufacturing systems that successfully integrated diverse populations into sophisticated technical work. This difference contributed not merely to production superiority, but to establishing new models for industrial development that would influence global manufacturing practices for generations. The quality achievements of American aircraft, produced by facilities extensively employing women, provided lasting testimony to the effectiveness of inclusive manufacturing approaches. Combat reports consistently praised American aircraft reliability and performance, reflecting the attention to detail and precision manufacturing that characterized production systems designed to optimize diverse workforce capabilities. These quality improvements demonstrated that inclusive policies enhanced rather than compromised manufacturing excellence, establishing principles that would reshape industrial standards worldwide. The economic and social transformations achieved through women's participation in aircraft manufacturing created lasting changes that extended far beyond wartime requirements. The technical skills acquired by women, combined with demonstrated competence in sophisticated manufacturing operations, established new precedents for female economic participation and career opportunities. These changes would influence American society throughout the post-war period, creating foundations for expanded equality and opportunity that would benefit generations of Americans. Today, as we examine the remarkable achievements of American aircraft production during World War II, we recognize that the integration of women into technical manufacturing roles represented more than wartime necessity. It embodied a fundamental expansion of human potential that demonstrated the superior effectiveness of inclusive approaches to industrial organization and social development. The German failure to recognize these possibilities contributed not merely to military defeat, but to missing opportunities for advancement that inclusive policies could have provided. The legacy of American women's contributions to aircraft manufacturing during World War II continues to influence industrial development and social progress worldwide. Their success in challenging traditional limitations on workforce participation established principles of human potential and inclusive development that remain relevant for contemporary challenges in manufacturing, technology, and social organization. The numbers they helped create, 295,159 aircraft that helped secure Allied victory, represent not merely statistical achievements, but testimonies to the power of human potential unleashed through opportunity and recognition rather than constrained by convention and assumption.